Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WRRAP podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me, as always, full crew this week: Carly, Jamie, and James. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Hello.
Was that Benny Hill salute there, James?
I just sort of I've been listening to a lot of history podcasts, so I'm like saluting a lot now.
I think we skip over that one as best we can then. Right, let's head straight. There's a load of stuff to get through this week, boys. So let's head into important stuff first. Drink of the week. So James has promised me that he's got something decent this week instead of pretending to hide behind something in a can that we can't see. So what have you got, James?
Well, this week I have got a fruited IPA from a company called Brew York called Juice Forsyth.
Oh, I like the look of that. I like the look of that.
And it's covered in
Great name.
So I've had this before, and it was the result. It's only 5%, but I bought a load of these for my Christmas do with work, and this was the beginning of my downfall. But on the back, it says, "Good game, good game. Do you want to go higher? Then enjoy the juicy bonus from this fruited IPA that combines Cascade, Citra, Columbus, and Mosaic hops with muchos pineapple, passion fruit, and mango for a tropical explosion as bold and juicy as the legendary entertainer the salute. Nice to see you. It's even got a Hugh Griffin spider-graph on the back of the taste.
Oh, that sounds great. I want that. Where can I get a can of that from?
I got this from Morrison's. They're
right, I'm going to go to Morrison's tomorrow. I'm going to get that beer because it sounds great.
And it's bloody lovely as well.
Oh, jealous now.
All right, Jamie, you can follow that up then, mate. What have you got to follow that?
Well, it's nowhere near as exciting, unfortunately. I got another fell in foul ale, Dragon's Heart. This one is. Don't know if you've had that one before, Lee. No, it's a red ale. So just quickly read the wanky bollocks. This is a full drinking premium Welsh ale, which is malty and gently hopped. Dragon's Heart has a rich colour and smooth, balanced character with lots of red fruit flavour and buttery overtones. 4.5% wanky bollocks. But you know what? I think this is the nicest Fellinful ale I've had. I love the colour on it. It's like one of those lovely Welsh red ales, you know. It's very nice, very Moorish. So yeah.
So do the bottom of the barrel, mate.
I didn't think they actually.
No, it's lovely.
Okay,
look at that.
We'll have to have a crack at that one then.
Yeah.
Harley, can you follow it up with anything more wanky bollocksy than those two loads?
Do you know what? It's actually going to be the exact opposite. So it's almost anti #wanky bollocks. So I've gone back to an old favourite. So Proper Job by St. Austell's Brewery. So that's 5.5% for those who care about those. And the blurb on this is an authentic IPA packed full of citrus flavours. Proper Job is big, bold, strong beer with a crisp, bitter finish. Perfect for pairing with full flavoured dishes. Like, that is the right level of wanky bollocks for you to go, oh, that sounds nice. Without thinking, Jesus Christ, I bet you were an arse in school.
Well, you don't have to be pissed to find it attractive. You can go, actually, that just sounds like a normal beer. You don't have to be kind of, half pissed already. Okay, I can't let us some of that. So I'm still traipsing through birthday beers, and I've been avoiding this one for some time. It was at the back of the fridge, and my daughter found it on Saturday and put it at the front. And then when I was out walking the dogs earlier, she took it out of the fridge and put it on the desk upstairs. So there was no way of getting around it. So this is 8%. It's from the Salt Brewery. It's called ICAT, and it's a tropical IPA. So there's like a whole fucking 4 paragraphs worth of wanky bollocks on there. None of it actually says anything about the beer. None of it says it's made with this, it's got this. It just says we like this and we do this and we're going to follow our own path because we're wanky bollocks amazing. When it comes to crafting beer and pursuing our own evolution, we're pushing on at pace. We're growing, and so is our selection. There's now a world of great soft craft beers waiting for you to reach out and try. Don't thank us, thank the beer. Oh, don't thank us, like the beer, it's our pleasure. And then there's just more bollocks like that. But it comes in a pink can, which is why I think my daughter got it. And I've tried it, and it's fucking awful, fair dues.
And it's 8%, you said, Lee?
It's 8%.
You be careful now on that. You want to be very careful.
Oh, if I put a straw in it, the straw would stand up. Is that? I mean, I've had worse tropical. It doesn't taste quite so pineapple-y as some of them, but yeah, I can't quite put my finger on what it tastes.
Does it taste 8% though? Does it taste really strong?
I'll tell you in about 15 minutes, mate.
Fair enough.
God, how long is the George North rank going to be this week?
Yeah, when I
literally about to unmute and say, as I wait till we get onto the game and we mention George North.
Yeah, you can tell I'm on an 8%er when I start arguing with Harley about like science and stuff. Then that's proper 8% arguing. That is. All right, let's move on to news desk while we can. So, Jamie, whole load of stuff to get through, mate. Over to you.
Yes, loads of news to get through, and it's all coming from the capital, the Checkbook Charlies. So, start off, former Italy international Cornel Van Zyl will link up with Cardiff as forwards coach next season. So Van Zyl is currently assisting Ealing Trailfinders following the collapse of London Irish, where he had held a similar role since 2021. And then today, Cardiff have announced that they've signed Gethin Jenkins on a full-time deal as defence coach. So Jenkins was working as a part-time defence consultant this season, but he's going to take the job on full-time in the summer. So that's good news for Cardiff. Who else have they got? Yes, they've brought in Stefan Emmanuel back to the club from Bath's Academy. So he's an 18-year-old that made the switch over the bridge while he was attending Millfield School. But now he's going to return to the Blue and Blacks when his studies are complete. And then in disciplinary news then, Cardiff centre Ray Lilo has been banned for 4 weeks following his red card against Connacht. So Lilo's initial 6-week suspension was halved due to his guilty plea, though was increased by a week as he has previously committed a similar offence. So that means he's going to miss the URC games next month against Leinster, Glasgow Warriors, Munster, and a Welsh Premiership fixture against Newport, because he would have played in that, wouldn't he? He obviously would have played in the Welsh Premiership against Newport. So, yeah, they've included that in, which is very naughty, I have to say. But that's the Cardiff news. Moving west then, Tom Rogers, he signed a new deal at the Scarlets, and Ampthill have confirmed the sign of Ewan Shenton on loan from the Scarlets in a deal that could last for the rest of the season. And then moving on to the Ospreys, then it's been announced that Luke Scully has signed a new deal with Ospreys. Scully has made 8 senior appearances so far for the Ospreys, so that's good news for them. And then finishing off then, news from last week has been a bit of a talking point in Welsh rugby. So on the eve of the Ireland-Wales game, Warren Gatland had a bit of a dig at the regions, and he called Welsh rugby, quote, a sinking ship. So basically, he said that right now, we are probably reflective of where our regions are. We've got to look at closing that gap. Everyone talks about the finances, and I understand that, but it's making the right decisions. Is more money going to go on buying players, or is the extra money going to be on fixing up the infrastructure, the facilities, and quality people in your backroom team? He also mentioned Alex Mann. So he was at the sponsors' dinner, and apparently Alex Mann answered this question with, and I quote, "I now know what a professional environment is like and what it should be like." With Gatland adding, that's what we've got to encourage our regions to be like. So, yeah, it was, of course, a bit of a stir. I don't think it was particularly helpful to come out with those comments on the eve of a big game like that. And it does feel like he's hung Alex Mann out to dry a little bit. Yeah, what were your thoughts on Gatland's comments? I mean, there are some fair points in there, but it just felt inappropriate and the timing was a little bit off for me. But what did you guys make of it?
He's right about Alex Mann, though. He is training at a leisure centre next to his Zumba class every week.
Well, he's not even doing that now because they've pulled out
true.
a twin. They've pulled out a twin, so it's going to be a porter cabin into the North Stand,
which really doesn't help the sort of the Gatland comments, does it? And I remember when so Ospreys famously, if anyone's ever been to Llandarcy, obviously it's a sport college as well as a gym, and then you have the rugby training facilities as well. So the Ospreys do have a private section of the gym, and then the speed track in the actual main compound. They obviously have the barn, which is primarily theirs. but the changing rooms to go out onto their changing rooms next to the pavilion were awful. And I remember changing them before, and they were genuinely, it was like being in a bandwagon or something like that. So they built like this elite sort of setup, but a sort of better changing room facilities, and they moved the Ospreys to St Helens in like a portable gym for the summer and for a part of the season. And I remember just thinking, this really doesn't help our standing as like an elite club, and I know Cardiff are in a similar situation as well. So having had time to mull it over, he's actually right. And a lot of Gatland's comments, as much as I don't like Gatland, were taken out of context when he said the regions are failing, where actually what he really meant was they should be pumping all their monies into facilities, which I kind of get, considering the Cardiff situation. You know, the Ospreys don't have the best, you know, like a dedicated training centre, which is something that they want. So, yeah.
But this goes back. I agree with what he's saying, but the bit he's missing out is he's going, but this is partly my responsibility for the last 10 years for insisting everything was focused on the Welsh national team and nothing went out to the regions. You know,
well, WRU's responsibility, I would say, not Gatland's really.
Well, yeah, but
the union.
He was largely responsible for focusing a lot of the money and a lot of the effort on the Welsh team, on the national team, with this trickle-down effect. You know, we'll have a really successful national team, and that will mean that all the regions will be successful, and it will trickle down. Yeah, that was his theory, that everything will trickle down, and it didn't, because the more successful the national team became, we went, all right, okay, but to get to the next level, I need this, and I need this, and I need this, and that just sucked everything in. So he's got to put a little bit of his own hands up and take a little bit of responsibility there and say that, yeah, some of the funding that came into the national centre and the, you know, hundreds of coaches that have been working with players over the last couple of years may not have been necessary. They may not have been needed, and some of that money and infrastructure should have gone back out to the regions, and they should have supported, you know, the likes of, you can't have a professional team, like you say, training where you're training. It's just, it's pathetic. It's ridiculous. Scarlets are lucky, but even Scarlets last year refitted the gym and had to go to a local gym that they've got a partnership with, but they then their gym work over last summer was all done in a public gym because they were refitting their gym. So, you know, and you guys are in that situation, you know, permanently. It's just shit.
But it costs money, doesn't it? That's the other thing. Like, of course you want good facilities, of course you want good coaches and etc. But that costs money. And the regions don't have that, you know, with the exception of Cardiff now with the takeover. And that's what Gatland needs to understand. Yeah, we all want our regions to be better. We all want the best coaches, but it costs money. And when you got the union cutting the funding, you know, it's difficult, isn't it?
Well, as I say, I'm expecting an announcement out anytime soon about WRU funding. If the rumours are true, and you know, there's no reason to believe that they're not, then there will be a slight increase in funding next year across all 4 regions. So if, you know, fingers crossed and all that kind of stuff, but it won't be enough to pay for a gym. No,
yeah. Is it enough to make a difference though and close the gap, isn't it? It's probably not going to be, is it?
Yeah. Just going back to the thing with the Cardiff, I know we were all joking about with the leisure centre thing, but the whole idea was going to be Cardiff rugby take over a leisure centre that basically seems like it's on the verge of folding anyway, and they were going to develop their own training facilities and a community facility as well. So then, you know, the community get to keep a leisure centre, and it's another source of income, which is something that we're constantly being told by the WRU we've got to do. Unfortunately, local residents and Cardiff Council dicked about too much, and that's why they've had to pull out.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things. But it's like Gatland saying, "Oh, you know, they need better fitness and stuff like that." Well, oh, you know, they're not playing the game plan we want them to play. Well, the Six Nations is a 7-8 week block. The summer tour is like another 4-week block. What are you doing in the gaps between to earn this massive salary? You know, there was huge praise when Sean Edwards came and helped Cardiff's defence a couple of was it 4 or 5 years ago?
And
it was like, well, why aren't you doing that more? If you're not happy with the way Yohan Lloyd's kicking, why isn't Wellies down at the Scarlets week in, week out, helping him with his kicking?
But given that we've got 3 relatively inexperienced head coaches, why isn't Gatland working with the head coaches to go, hey, here's some of my experience, let me help a little.
It's a fair point, though, isn't it? It is a fair point, because you could get Mike Forshaw down to the Dragons. They haven't got a defence coach.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So why not get Mike Forshaw down at Bustramanek for a day or two, just to advise them? Could all the coaches in the Welsh setup help more with the regions? They probably could, couldn't they?
What's interesting is Gatland has been at the Ospreys a couple of times, and the Ospreys have gone up to them because they put out like a midway point, like sort of interview with Toby Booth, and they were splicing in some video clips. And Gatland was at Llandarcy watching the stuff, like watching everything. The Lance Bradley said to me in a tweet a few weeks ago that Alex King was at like one of the Ospreys games. Clearly, they're not fucking watching the Ospreys players, but he must be in the bar or something.
They're there for the hot dogs, mate. They're there for the half-time hot dogs. That's what it is.
It's all about the Steve Barclay Lounge.
They've gone to the new Nando's in the Morva. That's what they've got. That's what they've gone to.
John Barkley.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on then, Jamie. Have we got any more interesting news for this week, mate?
No? I haven't. No, that's it.
Okay. So that if people want to carry on with that Gatland thing on our Twitter and our Facebook, we'll put a post out on our Facebook page and our Twitter. Crack on, because just don't expect us to reply, because it gets a little bit tedious after a while. But by all means, do crack on with it. So, James, let's have some beef and banter, mate. What have we got this week?
Well, there was a few contenders this week until Alan Partridge of Welsh Rugby decided to pipe up again. Sean Hawley, like Thomas Shanklin did the other week, put out the Wales 20 or 15 that he wants to see against France. And there were a few, like, sort of, there was nothing like too drastic. He put Dylan Lewis in at 3. Weirdly put Mackenzie Martin in at 6, despite the fact he's 12. Then, 9 and 10, absolutely, no issue there. Get to 12. Joe Hawkins. The ineligible Joe Hawkins. And then it just, his credibility, I think, falls apart from there. And someone pointed out on Twitter or X that it is clear now just engagement farming. Like, all they want is the likes and the clicks. But they're driving to.
At some point, Holly's going to start calling him Joseph instead of Joe. Just like Daniel.
And clearly coached him. He's going to say he had a bet with Andrew Hall that he had a bet with Andrew Hall that this lad will never play for Wales, or I'll eat an egg, like he did with Justin Tipuric. But there's a second part to this. The Joe Hawkins thing is clear engagement farming. I refuse to give him the time of day. As well as that, they had the 25 cap rule debate again, without these Cuthberts. But the bit I want to focus on is that Scrum 5 last week and this coming week is cancelled, despite a full raft of regional rugby. This just comes, how many weeks ago when politicians were saying how they need to protect free-to-air rugby and rugby shows and things like that because it's an institution in Wales, yet they can't be bothered to show a 45-minute highlight show with a bit of analysis in there. And don't get me wrong, Scrum 5, the quality has dipped over the years. Like, it is nowhere near as, what it was when they had, obviously you had the original iteration with Where's My Sources, and Tell Me Your Sources. That was brilliant. Then you got, when they had that stupid little clubhouse with Sean Hawley behind the bar, the pub you'd never want to go to because Sean Hawley was behind the bar. and things like that. So like, that was great. And then it did just dip. The quality of journalists they were getting on was poor. The analysis was basic beyond belief. Lauren Jenkins has done a lot to restore credibility to that show. She's absolutely fantastic. She's brilliant, but it is a sinking ship. And I genuinely think next season we might not have any form of rugby analysis in Wales that isn't Squidge.
Well, this is where our videos are meant to come in, but we've been told this week we're only allowed to do 30-second, between 30-second and a 1 minute blast of them. So I think you're right about it used to be good, and somebody said this week they don't show as much rugby and it's all talk now. I don't think that's what it is. I think it is the format. It is. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. Just because you're an ex-player doesn't make you an expert. You may have been very, very good on the pitch. It doesn't make you an expert. Yeah, and there are a lot better people actually doing the job. Yeah, when Scrum 5 started, being a rugby analyst wasn't a job. You can do university courses in it now. You can do a degree in sports analysis. Yeah. So the people that we've now got doing analysis aren't actually doing the analysis. They just go, well, when I played, we did this, this, and this, and somebody will put a video in front of them and they'll go, okay, yeah, look at this, at this. Sam Warburton is the one exception to that, where Sam Warburton will actually go, right, I want you to look at this, and I want you to look at this, and that player there, the bit he did about like players falling around the wrong side on a ruck. 6, 7 Welsh players go, there you go again, there you go again, there you go again. And he's taken a point and he's showing how that point is influencing the game and illustrating it with a series of videos. And I think on Scrum 5, like you say, it's just clickbait. It's just how can we separate this into a 30-second clip that can go out and I can put it on my Twitter feed and everyone will love me. And I think it's worse for it myself.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, but I haven't watched Scrum 5 now I haven't watched it at all this season, and not at all. It just, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I just want to pick up on the pundit thing because it is something I've long believed that the most talented players tend to make the worst pundits because I feel like they don't have to work or think to do it. They just instinct. Like Shane Williams, literally all his talents in his feet. He was an absolutely electric player. But my God, is there nothing going up north of his ankles? But then you've got Sam Warburton, who's reportedly someone who was never considered the most talented, but he worked harder than everyone. That was the reason why he was Gatland. He's the archetypal Gatland player. And Dylan Hartley, another one who's actually an incredibly good analyst. David Flatman in a different way because he somehow manages to explain something that's quite hard to explain, but with enough humour that it just feels like it's a joke.
The bit I always
and then you get other ones who just seem to try to make jokes, and it's awful.
Yeah.
With punditry in sport, is the one I find interesting was the Jamie Carragher thing, because Jamie Carragher was good, sort of really good centre back for Liverpool and for whatever, but you wouldn't put him in like the upper echelons, right? But he absolutely just loved football and would study every part of it. And that's what Sam Warburton is as a pundit. Yeah. Like he is like, if you watch American sports when they do the technical stuff, he's that guy you go to. Whereas like apart from David Flatman, if you take up the scrum bit, he is like some funny anecdotes or some like witty banter, like actual funny witty banter, not Ben Kay and Austin Healey like level of witty banter. Like Austin Healey, as much as of a dickhead as he is, really good analyst of the game. Like really
when he's focusing on it.
Yeah, when he's actually watching the game, I'll watch TNT and he's like genuinely on it with some of the stuff that he's saying. But the Scrum 5 stuff is just awful.
The bit I like is when Shane Williams and Tom Shanklin start talking about scrummaging and line-up, and you go like, seriously, boys, where this is a time when you shut up and let someone just be quiet and have silence and let us watch the game, because you're not really adding anything to it, and your analysis of a line out. Tom Shanklin said once on a line out, and you can see both players are, and this guy's well supported. I can't remember who it was, a club game, but some guy's going up well supported, and he's like 8 foot, 10 foot off the ground, whatever, ridiculous amounts. And Tom Shanklin goes, he's got off the ground well there. That's an excellent jump. No, he's jumped about 2 foot, and the rest of it is the guys have lifted him, and you can quite clearly see that because there's nothing else there. That isn't a jump, Tom. That's a lift, and that's quite clear.
In fairness, they do still. I know you like when you played, it was before jumping and lifting was allowed in the line out, but they still call it a jump. But it's not just the jumper; it is all three. Having someone who is trying to get back into the habit of going up in the line out, which also first time doing it after 16 years, fucking shit myself.
Was it snow up there? Was it, Harley? Were you up there looking down and going, "Oh, they look small"?
Oh, seriously. Like, we
do you understand now why? Do you understand now why Cardiff drop all their line notes? Because it's so scary up there.
It's cold up there. It's cold, man.
Hey, I said they've got taller players than we had in our pack, so you go up even further.
Right.
But no, yeah, I do get what you mean. The other one that really annoys me, and it's a lot of pundits do it, is they'll start trying to guess what the referee's giving it for, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, he was on the wrong side there." It's like, no, he's given it to the other team because he's sealed off, or it's that was a poor penalty to give away by Gareth Thomas, was it? No, he's pinged WRRAP for standing up. Like, just listen to the referee; he will tell you what the penalty's for.
But that's where you need us boys doing a YouTube live feed, going, well, what the fuck's that for? What the fucking referee? Fuck's sake, man! You're just reflecting what people are thinking at home. That's what it is. Anyway,
so you can get any old idiot to just complain about the rest giving the wrong decision.
Exactly, and we'd be good at it, and we'd swear. So, right, let's move on. Harley, what have we got for a stat blast this week, mate?
Couple of things, not many pretty ones. So, first of all, this game is really following the trend for Wales Island, because the last 3 games, in the first half we scored 0 points. We scored 0 points. We scored 3 points, and we scored 0 points again, and then 7 points each in the second half. On the plus side, we're below average on points conceded against Ireland this year in the Six Nations, because we only conceded 31 points and the average is 35. And we've made like a billion squillion zillion tackles, which is just basically every Ireland game. We make a billion zillion squillion tackles.
It's just meant to be encouraging us, Harley. we're below the 35-point average for an Ireland game.
Yeah, so we're doing better. We're doing better than the other 2 worst teams in the competition.
Right, let's move on to the Ireland game then. So let's start with the forwards. Harley, what did you make of the forwards' performance?
It's a bit hard, because you got to remember that a lot of these have, we do have a couple of quite new forwards in there. For the most part, the line-out worked quite well. I know when Elias came on, that first line-out was wonky, but actually, if you look at it's the camera doesn't stay on it long enough, but you can see the Ireland sort of just nudging. I think it might have been I think it might have been Omani. He sort of just gets the nudge on Wainwright, and that sort of stops him quite getting to the ball, so you get the overthrow. I mean, when we were picking and going, it was all right until we were right up in the line, and then I think they were so busy with the pick and go, they didn't hear young Costello trying to get him to go wide. But I mean, we were just over. I mean, I'm trying to be positive in it, but we were overpowered. As WRRAP knew, he's still so relatively young to international scrummaging. He didn't know how to get the point, how to deal with Porter coming in at 45 like he's going to do. Peter O'Mahony's innovative captaincy by physically holding Porter's elbow in place, just absolutely wonderful. I am so here for that, because normally with my free arm when I'm scrummaging, I'm using it to try and catch the opposition scrum off. He's actually doing it constructively for the scrum.
So what for me, the weak bit was a scrum in the first half, and then changed around with substitutions and whatever in the second half. But we did lose a little bit of mobility around the pitch. I thought our back row were immense in defence, that just on disrupting. If you look at how many times Wainwright got himself in between the Irish ball carrier and his support players and just slowed that up. I thought that was superb. I thought Alex Mann and Mackenzie Martin both had really good games, like really strong games. I think when Alex Mann puts on another stone and a half of muscle, he's going to be awesome, because his technique, his tackle technique is superb. It's just not necessarily dominant. I think that's where we're missing at the minute. We're just not dominant. We're not dominant enough. I think Will Rowlands brought a little bit of ball carrying dominance, but not enough. And I think, Ireland have probably got 6 ball carriers in their pack, big, heavy ball carriers. And we've probably got Will Rowlands on for half a game. And I think it showed. So, I think there were a lot of positives in there for us, but there was also a lot of, this is where you need to aim. This is the level that we need to work at if we're going to do anything. And I don't think it's necessarily personnel. I think that there's a good bunch of players there that will be strong for the future. And I think there's some players that come back. Jack Morgan and Plumtree will add something when they come back in. And I think that competition for places is something that we should be relishing. That's something that we should be, everybody needs to be up in their game when players come back from injury, and not sitting on this idea that, getting out of a Gatland squad is more difficult than getting into it. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff to come. There's definitely more to come from those players that are there. But yeah, we were just outpowered, just so overwhelmed.
One thing I do want to say is that, we did actually have relatively quick ball for most of it. So 56% of our rucks were. I mean, admittedly, Ireland had 60% of rucks under 3 seconds, but 56% of rucks under 3 seconds is actually quite good for a Welsh performance. I think the problem was it was the lack of clinical edge. I don't know if Jamie or James want to talk about it when we go on to the backs, but I also feel like we were a bit naive, like when we had easy kickable opportunities, when we were like 7-0 down or 17-10 or 17-7, and you're like, those 3 points were, they're keeping us in the game. That's one thing. Like, before James makes his restoring pride joke, so that's one thing Cardiff have done quite well this season is, they will take those 3 points just to keep themselves in the fight, to give themselves an opportunity to try and win or draw afterwards. I do think it showed, like that clip. What's the name? Rhian Lowe shared of Dylan Lewis, and you could see he was, even though he'd only been on the pitch for an half hour, how knackered he was because of Ireland's tactics of trying to hit the same player to make tackles all the time. And and you'd see it in this one period of play. He made like 2-3 tackles and a counter ruck in like a 40-second clip. So they put an effort in, and the fact it took Ireland till the very last play to score a try, to score that bonus point try. I think they can take a lot of pride from that.
Said the pride word again. So before we move on and we discuss the backs, so I want to get everyone's opinion on the incident with the boot, because that for me, for me, that play went on for 6-7 minutes without his boot, and it wasn't like the boot wasn't in the way, wasn't obstructing anything, it wasn't. It wasn't preventing anybody from playing. It wasn't a danger. He could have just moved it to the side, but he didn't. He tried to fucking hurl it 20 odd meters or whatever, just because he was being a stroppy little kid. So if that was me, I'd have gone absolutely fucking mental with him and called it back for I'd start a fight of some sort. And when the ref looks back at that, he goes, actually, that's ungentlemanly conduct. So you've got a 50-50 call there of him getting a penalty. So for me, it was just poor to being a twat. But Your thoughts?
I mean, Porter was being a twat, but also if that was a Welsh player, I'd be calling it brilliant shithousing. So I've got to stick with it. I think that's funny. You're right. How it reacted to was just like, oh, I've lost my boot. When you could have caused a bit of a kerfuffle, and then it's like, oh, hang on, well, no, one instigated it by throwing the boot.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest, I found it funny.
You two need to grow up.
Our blindside last weekend did the exact same thing to the opposition, and even the opposition just said, "Fucking bad."
I'd have fucking gone for him. But
go
on, James. As a prop, what would you do?
Fuck all.
I'd have fucking had him. So he takes your boot, he throws it 20 odd meters away, and you've got to stay playing for 6 minutes, yeah. And he's running around and you're running around there with.
I've played without a shirt before, Lee. It doesn't matter.
That's because they didn't want you on the pitch, mate. That's different. Yeah.
I had my shirt pulled off in a ruck and I just sort of left it. And I was just playing in my, and it was like American football pads as well. Like they're cut right just above the belly. So I was playing. Oh God,
that's worse for the opposition.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, mate.
I had about a 40-odd meter run. They just didn't want to come near me. Also, I appreciate how you ask Harley about the front row when prop.
Yeah, but none of us are backs. We've got no backs, mate. None of us are backs. So some of us are going to have to comment on the back
this season. To be fair.
I just want to very quickly touch on Azarati, and this is where his naivety as a test level prop comes in, and he should have play acted to fuck about Andrew Porter and not driving in on the angle. Sorry, and and what I will say is Azarati did not paint himself the best picture with the referee because he buckled very easily under what Porter was doing, and he gave the ref no choice. As a prop, I remember before I joined the show, I remember Lee talking about this when Ospreys beat Scarlets. There was a Thomas Lozano red card game, and Lee went on about a 20-minute rant about Nicky Smith and his scrummaging.
Yeah,
and it's exactly the same as what Porter does. In that he doesn't drive straight, but what tight heads don't do is they don't sell it, and that's what Azarati did do. He didn't sell the fact that Porter was doing this. He was buckling. And Dylan Lewis didn't get a chance to do this because Porter stays on, goes off. Sorry, but that's what you've got to. That's the difference between club level and test level. You've got to take every opportunity you can. And I just think I don't think that was Azarati's best game in a Wales shirt. He only made 4 tackles. He didn't carry much. I think he was so. I think there was so much mental capacity there just trying to get that one in on Andrew Porter. And you do as a prop, you spend so much time fixating on getting one on your opposite number that sometimes the rest of your game suffers. Like he didn't carry like we wanted him to. He didn't tackle. He made 4 tackles, 1 dominant hit. Right? Gareth Thomas, we know his, I highlighted on Twitter this week, his USP is that chop tackle. Like that one he puts in, and then Tommy Raphael goes straight over the top. He's been doing that for 4 or 5 years at the Ospreys. I think that front 5, you talked about the back row Lee working really well as disruptors. I thought the front 5 were brilliant. That starting front 5 were brilliant in terms of work rate. I've got here the tackle count that.
Yeah, but they were shit. We got completely fucked in the scrum in the first half, mate.
Yeah, that's I'm not talking about the set piece. I'm talking about Dav Jenkins 17 tackles, Adam Beard 13 out of 13, Elliot D 11 out of 11, Gareth Thomas 11. Then you got Adam Beard had three dominant hits off 13 tackles with none missed. It's fucking brilliant. And what you talked about, Lee, is when Rowlands came on, yes, he adds that carrying game, but I actually think we lost a bit of grunt in the tight. So where Ireland scored that last try is very much one-up runners, right? Or little tip-on runners playing off 10. And you just lose that bit of coherency in the tight. it's a really, really weird thing in the second row for Wales at the minute, because you've got Will Rowlands, who's a fantastic carrier, as Jamie will attest to. You've got Dav Jenkins, who he hit like 30 plus rucks on the weekend, plus making 17 tackles. Yeah, he probably misses more than he should. Then you've got Adam Beard, who's in that tight, is making dominant hits, who's making tackles. So you've got a really competitive second row, and that's with young players to come through as well.
And I think that's a good thing. I think that's what we need. We need more of that. Anyway,
just before we move on,
let's get Jamie involved.
I was going to say, Jamie's going to lose the ability to speak if
no,
we
it's
don't
fine.
give
go
him a
on,
chance.
Ali, quickly. Go on,
I just want to know. It's open to the floor, but obviously during the Pivac era, Humphreys was always moaning about players' scrums being illegal, and he wanted to be a pushing contest. Do you think he's coaching, or rather not coaching, the props in Wales camp to try and like show off all these illegal scrimmaging things? You know, and is he saying just focus on pushing forward, pushing straight? And do you think that's where, like, because we've had these issues with scrims before now, where props will get away with what they get away with, whereas we're always trying to go straight, and we're never trying to like actually eke the penalties out?
I think we suffer from a lack of an actually mammoth strong tight end. So when we had Adam Jones, right, you could afford to have Gethin, who we love, right? We love Gethin, but Gethin went through a period of his career where he gave away so many scrum penalties, right? He was, and a part of that is down to referees' interpretation, but you can always be bailed out when you've got someone like Adam Jones on your right. What we have got at the minute is we've got props. Not I'm saying can't scrummage, because it absolutely can, but we haven't got like that mammoth of the tight end. And it's probably the closest one is WRRAP. He's still very green. Dylan Lewis isn't a mammoth tight end. Archie Griffin's not a mammoth tight end. Leon Brown is, but he's never off the fucking physio table. You know, probably the only mammoth, like actual massive tight ends in Wales were Samson Lee, just retired, Tom Boter, who's 39, and like I think Lloyd Fairbrother's huge as well. Am I right, Jim? He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Well, he's huge. He's not particularly big, which is where I think.
But he's wide.
One of the heaviest players in the squad.
He's wide. Yeah.
You know, he's short.
He's quite wide,
which is what you want from a tight end. So
Archie
I think
Griffin, he's about 140 kilos.
But he fucking went back like he was 4 kilos. Like. Jamie, go on.
What am I supposed to be talking about now? The backs, is it?
I was going to say, let's talk about the pretty boys. We've talked about the genuine
part of
the team. Let's talk about the pretty boys.
Let's talk about the backs. So I think Wales's attack is a big problem. That first half in particular was a very tough watch because the backs had no platform whatsoever. And we spent most of that first half on the back foot and under the cosh. We didn't enter Ireland's 22 until the 36th minute. We took a very long time to actually get the ball off Ireland, and that was a problem. The discipline was pretty bad, which is disappointing because we conceded 9 penalties in that first half alone, which is what we conceded against Scotland and England put together in the first 2 games, and that had a big influence on the first half. But the problem is, you know, if you haven't got a platform, it's very difficult for the backs to express themselves, isn't it? And Rob Howley talked about rugby chaos. I think the game plan was to go there and play an attacking game. But when your scrum is, you know, going backwards and you've got no platform, it's just very difficult for the backs to express themselves. And the problem was when we did have the opportunities, we were much better in the second half, by the way. We just weren't clinical enough. And Warren Gatland said after the game, we probably weren't as clinical as we wanted to be. And we didn't impose our attacking game as much as we would have liked. So clearly we were going to go there with some intent and purpose. But because we spent most of the game on the back foot, because Ireland were controlling possession and territory, you know, we just could not get the ball off them. It was very, very difficult. And, you know, I thought the half-backs were okay. There's been a lot of talk about Sam Costello. I thought he was all right. You know, I know there's a lot of people bashing him at the moment, and Steph Thomas wrote an article for Wales Online today saying the Welsh public need to give him more time, and I agree. The fact of the matter is we don't have that experienced 10 anymore. We don't have Anscombe. We don't have Bigger. We've got what we've got, and we need to stick with them now. And I will say on Costello, I thought his defensive shift was excellent. He made 17 tackles. He put in some really big hits. There was one try-saving tackle as well. Can't remember who he did it on, but I watched it on Scrum Feed. It was a try-saving tackle. And also as well, the ref. Did anyone else notice? So Thomas Williams gets penalised for a crooked feed, which you just don't see enough of anymore.
Yeah.
He gives that, and you think, right, okay, that's unusual. You don't see that. Fine. Jameson gives some Park in the very next scrum,
Straight into
just
the
as
second
crooked,
row.
if not more, and he doesn't get called.
He's
What's all that
literally
about?
into the second
Point of
row.
order.
Yeah,
If it's the one I think it is, it
absolutely
wasn't for a
ridiculous.
crooked feed. It's for showing the ball and not putting it in. Basically, because Ireland are pushing early basically every scrum. Thomas goes down, stands up to basically say, no, I'm not happy with this, and then Piardi pings him for not feeding the ball.
Yeah,
It
no,
wasn't
James,
crooked.
I think Jamie's on about the one where he specifically said, he said
was a
that was a
crooked
crooked.
feed.
He said he specifically
Yeah.
said it's a crooked feed, and you're right. The next scrum,
Yeah,
I
James
mean,
Gibson Park did exactly the
and
same,
you're
if
like
not
the
worse. And it
second
wasn't
row were
called.
going like, oh,
I know.
I've just what the hell's happening? It's
I'm not talking about Andrea Piardi because I will get angry.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you have more reason than most, to be fair.
Right. So
here's something to think about, though, right?
Go on in.
We've played 6 halves of rugby in total. Yeah. In 3 halves in this tournament, we haven't scored a single point. You know, we've still yet to put in an 80-minute performance. But on other individuals, Cam Winnett again, who I've just continued to be impressed by. I mean, he's almost half-penny-like, isn't he? His positional play. He's so good under the high ball. He was getting a load of plaudits after the game. Lots of Irish fans saying how good he was and how impressed they were with him. And he has been one of the big highlights for me of this campaign. It's been a struggling campaign, but Cam Winnett has been incredible. I actually thought, I know you'll disagree, Lee, as you always do, I thought George North had a very good game. I thought he made some very good defense. Hang on, you have your say now. He had some very good defensive reads. Yes, I would have liked to have seen a lot more of attack from him, a lot more ball in hand. But I thought defensively he was probably one of the best games that I've seen him have. I also enjoyed Gordon Darcy calling him James North. I don't know if any of you noticed that on ITV comms. Rio Dyer worked incredibly hard, but I think the story for the backs was they didn't have the platform they needed to express themselves, so they couldn't create the rugby chaos that Howley wanted. But when they did get those opportunities, they simply weren't clinical enough. And Harley mentioned it earlier, turning down 3 points at crucial moments. You know, that's one of my bugbears. I hate that. You've got to get some points on the board just for a little bit of momentum. I thought that was bad decision making. But yeah, a tough day for the backs, not helped by not having a platform.
Wait, Lee, are you going to talk about George North?
No, I'm gonna literally do 2 sentences, yeah, and me and you are not gonna have an argument. So my point with George North is I actually thought in attack, when he had the ball, you could see why he's on the pitch, because you know there were a couple of times where he gets caught behind the gain line, he's scooping up shit ball, and he's actually doing the forwards job. He's actually driving the ball forward, and he's providing a bit of bulk. He's providing a bit of a go forward. So from that point of view, you know, I thought he was okay. I can't remember a single time where that ball actually came to him as a line, as a backsline. Let's go forward. Do you know what I mean? So in attack, I think he did everything he possibly could have in attack. I've not got a problem with him in attack. If you look, he keeps getting caught in 2 minds behind the ruck. He's running behind the ruck, and he stands behind the ruck and then waits to see what happens. And I think there were 3, maybe 4 occasions where he's done that. And then he bites in on an inside centre, or whether it's the fullback or the inside centre coming in on him. Yeah. And when he's doing that, the centre is taken care of, or the fullback is taken care of. That inside player has got that player. Yeah. And what it means is that there's then a 2 or a 3 man overlap outside him. And if you listen to some of the commentary, it's like that's George North on another really good covering tackle. So he's making the tackle, but he's making it where he's chasing the player back 5 meters instead of blocking that pass coming in. And this is what I don't think we're being very fair to him, because he doesn't play 13 at the Ospreys. I think he's played 2 games this season, James. 13, isn't he? He's not.
He's been at 13 this season.
Yeah, every time he's played, he's been at 13, but he's gone off. He went off injured at the Lions. He played 13. Yeah, so every time he's played, it's at 13. He's not played on the wing for the Ospreys in a while.
So he's learning that position at international level, and that's right. I don't think we're being very fair to him. And
this was his best game though for Wales in a very long time, in my opinion, especially in defence. I thought he was very good.
But he's still way below where you need an international, particularly outside centre. Yeah, outside centre needs to be that player that controls that line. But my point is we're not playing him in his best position. Yeah, I thought Adams is out of form. Yeah. Put George North on the wing, yeah, and bring George North outside Costello as your attacking 12. Yeah, don't put him there in defence. They'll put him back on the wing in defence, but as an attacking option, we don't have anybody. We don't have anybody in the forwards. Will Rowlands is the exception. Wainwright will run when he's got space. Yeah. The best bit of Wainwright on Saturday was when he had like a 30-40 meter run up and he just bang, and he just hit it. I thought that was fantastic. It just showed a bit of grunt. But we need somebody coming outside Costello to take that ball off Costello and take that 10-15 meters. And George North has done it a couple of times in the past, not intentionally. Yeah, he's come there off second phase, and he sucks players in and creates the space outside him. So if we're going to play George North on that pitch, we need to use him at the best of his ability, not use him to plug a gap. That's what we're doing at the minute. We're using him to plug a gap, and it's not fair on him. And he's trying to learn a new game at 13, and at international level against some of the best 13s in the world. And it's not there. Plus, you've got we're not going forwards. So he's one of those players who could actually give us go forward. And that's why I say you swap in with Adams on the wing and bring him off Costello, or even bring him off 9, whoever's in at 9, bring him off 9 and let him run at people, because that is where he's good. That's where he does damage. And that's what I think that's what we're missing. We're missing that Jamie Roberts figure. As much as I hated Warren Ball and that, let's give it to Jamie Roberts and he's going to go forward 10 meters. He also sucks in 3 players, and that's what we needed on Saturday, and it wasn't there. And when you've got George North at 13, you're not using him to the best of what he does. It's like, take a prop and put a prop there. That's not what they're there for. George North is a dynamic runner. He's a fast, dynamic runner. Give him the ball, let him run at people in space. He's not getting it at 13. That's my point with George North. Not that he shouldn't be on the pitch, but if he's going to be there, put him at 11.
That was the longest 2 sentences of my life.
It was a very long sentence, mate. I'll give you that. It was a very long sentence. Right, but we're not going to argue.
I was just going to put one more thing on, unless James has got an urgent point. But the one thing I noticed watching the game and having to watch back, so I watched the first half. Then went to Bath, watched Real Murray, came back home and watched the second half. And the problem for me is everyone knows that George North is our punch in midfield. So what they do, but the problem is Tompkins, you always have Tompkins in 12, North at 13. And the best centre partnerships will switch it around. I don't know if that's just because it's still quite early days in the Alex King attack. But the thing is, you could see Ireland were rushing up, and then Tompkins then has to take the ball himself. Because he can't get that ball out. When he can get the ball to North, we make really big ground. And I don't know if we need to start having North coming in at 12, just to sometimes, especially if we're starting to lose momentum and go backwards, just so Marcus Smith and Harlequins has Esther Hazen as a release valve, whichever Springbok fly half or Fafter Clerk has Damien Dialandi. You've just got this, Ireland used Bundy Aki, Stuart McCloskey, and Robbie Henshaw to this effect. It's just having a player who can come straight off 9 or 10. And it's just very frustrating. I am getting a bit fed up of that. Oh, Tompkins is getting battered, the poor lad. It's like he's a professional rugby player, Lee. Fuck off. He knows what he's doing.
He got ragdolled so many times. It's like watching my dog play with a new squeaky toy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you do have a point in the fact that if you're going to put him in that position, like the reason Tompkins is in the side is because of his distribution game more so than physicality. Just switch him around for these things, just keep them guessing, because North is going to draw a few players. And if it means then that they're drawn in on North and you go back and you miss him to Tompkins, then we're actually going to get these balls to the wingers. Like, everyone's moaning about Josh Adams' form. Well, he barely gets the fucking ball. Like, if they're kicking, they're kicking to Dyer. If they're passing, it goes out to Dyer. And, he has done some nice things where he's come round to link up. I mean, I do agree he's not fully fit. He's not fully informed. My problem is I have no idea who we replace him with, because Grady, when he's chucked down that right wing, has the exact same problem. Grady's great if you give him the ball, but he's still not quite ready to learn and to work and to actually find the places he needs to inject into the line.
Well, that brings us on to the next bit then. So, Jane, talk to me about tactics and changes. So, where did we get the tactics right? Where did we get the tactics wrong? And do you change your tactics or do you change a player?
So is that to me or James?
Yes. Sorry, yeah, you two. I'm going to have to call you Bill and Bob.
Let James come in on this one, because he's been spoke on this one.
In terms of what do you bring in for France, I think we're at a point now where we either say we stick with what we need. So in almost at the Scarlets issue this season, Lee, of consistency and selection, yeah? Mm-hmm. So we either say we stick with as close to the 23 that played out in Ireland against France, right? Which he's done for pretty much the pack, barring a few, right? And say, right, continuity, you boys is a wounded France team. They've lost Jalibert today. They're not going to have Dante. They'll have Valemza back, but will they trust him to go back in? Yeah, it's the wounded France team. They are there to be taken. You boys go out in Cardiff, put on a fucking show, and beat them. Or is this the time now where you say, do you know what? We'll stick. We know Alex Mann is now like an international 6 going forward. Let's put him on the bench. Put Wainwright at 6, Martin at 8. Do we let's give Beard a rest, bring Teddy Williams into the bench, or something like that. Do we pull the trigger and make mass changes where we essentially see now, are these boys up to it? Do we? That's the dilemma we're at now. I think we have to stick with Thomas Williams and Costello. I actually think you stick with Kieran Hardy on the bench as well. I don't see Gareth Davis really coming back into the squad. If I'm honest, I think whisper it quietly might be the end of Gareth Davis at international level. And that's not because he's bad. I just think the way Gatland wants to play, and then as well as the emergence of some young nines, I just think that Gareth Davis might not feature. In terms of centre partnership, I say it every week, but Joe Roberts could well come in against France. He's not going up against Dante. He's not, there's line break opportunities there against that France team. You've got to remember, this is a France coach, Sean Edwards. Sean Edwards coached France there, who are getting carved up quite a bit. Italy carved up quite well on the weekend. That ball out the back. I think if you're going to have someone there, if you talk about Tompkins' distribution game, which I haven't really seen much of, right? Who is the perfect person to go out the back to? In this case, will be a Joe Roberts, because he's able to get on that outside and sort of go through. Other than that, you can't. I still think you stick with that front row of Gareth Thomas, Elliot D, and Azarati. I am concerned about the scrum coming against France. That was not so much the replacement France props, the starting France props. And yeah, that's it. I genuinely think the big change I'd make though is I'd bring Mackenzie Martin in and just say, do you know what, mate? Have a go at 8. Run at people, run at that back row, make someone look silly, and just say we're going to put it. We're going all in on you, like we did with Faletau all them years ago. You've got to build these kids up early. We've done it with Alex Mann. We've done it with Cam Winnett. The other one in the squad is Mackenzie Martin. He can restore pride in that Wales 8 jersey.
We've never lost pride in the 8 jersey.
Jamie, do we change personnel or do we change tactics? Because when we broke the game up on Saturday, when we did the tap and goes, when we did the cheeky lineouts, when we did the route one off scrums, actually we caused Ireland issues. So tactics or people?
So I would keep changes to a minimum. I don't think Warren Gatlin's going to make too many changes for this one. It is worth thinking about making a change in the back row because you can up against an almighty French pack. And as good as Alex Mann has been for Wales, he is quite lightweight. So I kind of get James's reasoning. Why not bring Mackenzie Martin into the fold, move Wainwright to 6, and then you got a bulkier back row. The scrum is a concern. Now, personally, I thought Dylan Lewis, can't believe I'm saying this, I've never been a Dylan Lewis fan. He did do well in the scrum. It might be worth starting Dylan Lewis for this one. Azarati had a tough time, but one thing I will say is, well, Porter was not scrummaging straight on a lot of those. He just wasn't driving in. He was boring in, you could see it. And we talk about Azarati being naive, but he's young, he's learning, and he'll come with time. But I think for this game against France, I probably would consider starting Dylan Lewis. But the biggest concern for me is who's going to get us over that gain line, because we have struggled all tournament to get over that gain line. We look underpowered, don't we? When we compare ourselves to the other nations in this tournament, the bigger, more powerful nations, I just think we look underpowered, and we saw it in Ireland. We really struggled to go over the gain line. We're losing collisions, and when we're in the opponent's 22, we huff and we puff, and then we get turned over. So it's a big concern for me, but I think we need to play a more positive brand of rugby. We need to try and move the French about, try and move that big pack around the field, because we are not going to outpower France in the same way that we were never going to outpower Ireland or outmuscle them. So we need to be clever, smart, and inventive in how we play the game and be a little bit more positive, I think.
So for me, we actually played that, what we used to call rollerball, really well, where you go pick and goes, but it's a really quick pick and go. Yeah. When Ireland do it, they're clearing players out 6-7 foot beyond the ball, and they're holding players in, and they're getting away with it. Yeah. When we do that, we do it really well, and the whole point of that is to suck players in. Yeah, because they're going shit. If we don't go in, half of our players are left on the floor. We need to go. So we suck players in, and then nobody goes, now we need to move the ball out because there's space. We've created the overlap, and we need to use it. And I think those are the bits that need to come with experience, where we need forwards to listen and go, okay, we've done this, we've rollerballed 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, now I need to listen. Is that ball going out the back? And Costello needs to start screaming for it, because that's the frustration, where we're creating the overlaps, we're creating it, and then we're not executing beyond it. And I agree with you about, and that's what I was saying about George North having somebody there to give go forward. And yeah, I was mulling over, do you bring Grady in place of Dyer? And that's not saying Dyer. I don't think Dyer's put a foot wrong this year. I genuinely don't. I just think I want somebody on both sides of the pitch that Costello can offload to.
You can't drop Rio Dyer right now. I think a lot of people are calling for Adams to be dropped, and bring Mason Grady in. So I don't know. Josh Adams hasn't been himself, but I do want to see Mason Grady start at some point, whether it's against France or Italy. I would like to see him get a start, but where do you start him, I suppose?
Yeah, that was kind of my point. We're bringing, if you've got 2 wings that can come off 10, then you're giving yourself, or 9 and 10, then you're giving yourself options. But I don't think Dyer's put a foot wrong. I think when it comes to heart and soul, he's right at the. Again, we've got to get to a bit where you go, actually, we've part of the problem with Welsh rugby over the last couple of years has been, he's a good player, we can't drop him. He's a good player, we can't drop him. And I think we do need to move beyond it and go, do you know what, against certain sides, then you want Dyer there, and against some of the bigger sides like Ireland and maybe France, then maybe you do bring Grady in, and you have to play a different type of game against them. When we play Italy, we aren't going to play the way against Italy that we've played against Ireland. It's going to be a different type of game when you bring different players in that tweak it differently. So that's where I think we are at the minute, but we don't have the depth that we need to have in order to play that kind of game. In order to say, right, we're going to play a wider game, we're going to play a more open game, so we put player A, B, and C on. We're going to need to play a tighter game. We put players D, E, and F on. So that's where I think we are at the minute. Anyway, right, this beer is repeating on me, boys. I'm telling you now, we're 3/4 of the way down. This is what's not.
Be careful, man. Need that 8%. It's going to go to your head pretty soon.
Oh,
you want to be careful now,
man. Right, let's talk about the France-Italy game, because let's talk about something exciting. Let's talk about France-Italy, because my telly was on the blink all afternoon, so I had to watch all the rugby on iPlayer and ITVX, and it was really, really shit. And the screen froze on 80 minutes with the penalties just been awarded. I was absolutely fucking livid. It was, and I was trying to, it was a nightmare. So I missed the drama with the ball falling off the tee and all that kind of stuff. It went from the penalty being awarded to him putting the ball on the tee, and then someone charging, and then it came back on just as the ball hit the posts, and it was absolutely awful. But what a game! What did you think of the finish of that game, boys? Harley, go on, you go first.
I mean, the finish was really tense and exciting. I mean, we were watching it on a slight delay because we went over the in-laws for a lovely lamb roasting, and I'll be honest, it wasn't. I don't think it was that great a game in terms of an actual game, but the whole, Italy being so close to France and again there. And all right, yes, it came down, and I'm going to say the same thing to say with the Scotland-France game. Italy had opportunities to make sure that last penalty kick wasn't the deciding factor. There were plenty of opportunities they could have gone for posts, but they didn't. They started going for the maul, despite the fact their maul hasn't been going that well. Their line-out's been a bit iffy. You don't have goal kickers. I mean, it's a bit harsh. With players charging up towards the penalty kick. I don't know, the ball falling off. That how that fell off. There's no wind. Nothing. It's a roof. There's a closed roof. What I want to know is, did the French papers have lots of arguments about whether or not Italy were deciding to have the roof open or not? And then Garbisi misses it, and you're just like, it just seemed exactly what would happen for Garbisi, given how absolutely torrid his season's been. Because as much
should
as I
it
love
be
Garbisi,
retaken though? Should that penalty be retaken? Because World Rugby say that teams should be awarded a penalty 10 metres in front of the original mark if an opposing team infringes on an unsuccessful kick. So a lot of people saying that penalty shouldn't be retaken. That's the big talking point from this game.
I mean, as a drama,
I also feel like Christoph did a bit of a Joubert and ran away and just went, I don't want anything else. I don't want any more decisions in this game.
Well, what did you make of it, James? The finish. Don't ignore the 79 minutes. Just that last bit.
Yeah, I just feel for Garbisi. To be honest, I quite like Garbisi. I like that Italy team. It is just, I felt for them there. You could just see how much it meant to them. But it was that feeling of pride. Like that, in my mind, that's an Italy win. Like, no matter what. And I think a lot of the talk has been about how bad France were. And they were bad. Like, I'm not taking that away. But from where Italy were against France in the World Cup to now, there's a lot of dog, a lot of fight in that performance, and it just comes down to one missed kick, and it wasn't even like he fucking shanked it wide, it was Cardiff in a cup quarter final and a semi final. It was it was off the post, and that was with like what 2.5 seconds build up. So yeah, look. The Six Nations Netflix documentary is going to be fucking excellent next year.
So final word on it then, Jamie. Who would you rather play next, France or I know we are playing France next, but who would you rather play next? Would you play France coming off the back of if you read French media today, that was a loss, and if you read Italian media today, that was a massive boost and a shot in the arm, and they felt they should have won it. So who would you rather play next?
I think France, because I watched that game against Italy, and yeah, it wasn't a great game, but there's something not right with France, and it's pretty clear that they really are missing Antoine Dupont and Romain Ntamack, probably far more than any of us realise, because don't forget, France were coming into this tournament as big favourites, but something's not right. They were very lucky to beat Scotland. And I said the other day, they should be 3 losses from 3, the same as us, but they're not. And I feel optimistic about us in Cardiff, because as James touched on, they don't have Jalibert. That's a big loss. So they're probably going to play Ramos at 10. They're not going to have Jonathan Dante, another huge loss for him, fantastic player. If we get our basics right, then I do think that is a very winnable game. Because something is just not clicking there. And they're already starting to turn on Sean Edwards, aren't they, the French media? And, they really are starting to pick holes, and Golfier is under a lot of pressure. So, I feel confident we can turn France over. But the Italy game as well, that is going to be probably going to be the wooden spoon decider, isn't it, for being honest? And that's not going to be easy because Italy have improved, and I was gutted for them, I have to say. I think we all wanted Garbisi. We all wanted that kick to go over, didn't we? And when it hit the post, it was like, it would have been brilliant for the tournament. It would have been absolutely fantastic, pure drama. But I feel like we can give France a good game. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised if we won. But that could be just Welsh optimism as well. I don't know at the minute. So ask me the week after.
I was going to say, you got 2 weeks before that, and there's a lot can happen in 2 weeks, mate. A lot can happen.
But 2 big losses, though. Dante and Jalibert, 2 big losses for France.
Okay, so who wants to do the Fantasy League? Who wants to look at the Fantasy League and go...
It's got to be me, innit?
Well,
I forgot to do my team. I forgot to make my changes.
That's what I did the previous week, and I scraped by. But this week, I did really, really well. If you just take round 3, I'm second in the table, boys. I'm fucking over the moon. I am. So I was happy.
My team remained the same from the week before. Obviously, it didn't set a captain, so it automatically set to Tomo Ramos, which wasn't bad. But I had Johan van der Merwe in the team, and I was like, oh my god, if I made the captain, I'd be top right now. But let's look at the rankings anyway. So in the WRRAP League, in first place are ironically Wooden Spoon contenders. Second place, Ivan. Third place, Ivan jumped up 13 places, by the way. Josh L in third. Sior fourth, In It to Win It fifth, Nathan Long sixth, Morgan Dobbin joint sixth, MJH Crusaders 8, Old Rubbish 8 at 9. Is that you, Lee?
No, mate, I'm those chaps in shorts. I'm down in 34th because I was absolutely. I literally had 3 players who were suspended. in my team from the week when I forgot to update it. So
down in 16th is me, climbing one place. Who I am just above Jamie, who dropped down 5 places this week.
Oosh.
Down to 18th. Harley, you're not in it. On Carwin watch, by the way, he's in 40th. He's jumped up 5 places.
Good old Carwin.
Lee, you're on 34. You're 34th. You're on 999 points. You haven't even broke 1,000 yet.
No, but what I will say is if you look at by the round, so look on the little bit at the top, per round, second place. I was second place in round 3. Is this
like you trying to convince...
Yeah, this is... I don't
is this like you trying to convince
we won the 52nd to 53rd minute all over again.
Precisely. It's all about the window that you look through. It's all about the context. Round 3...
We got more line breaks than you, so we are the better rugby team.
I'm just saying that one of us won one of those little shield things in round 3, and it was me for I had what's his name, Wayabosu, as my super sub, and he
I know we lost the game 42 points to 7, but Johnny McNichol got a line break, and that is a win in my book.
Fucking right on, man, right on.
So that is the fantasy league this week. Obviously, a week off. We'll see who gets injured, who goes back to the clubs.
We'll see who remembers to do their fantasy league. You can tell who remembered to do their fantasy league and who spent Friday night on the last.
I was just very lucky that everyone in my fantasy team from the last time I did it played, and started. I was just very lucky with it. Can we talk about proper rugby?
Let's talk about rugby then. Let's start with, so we're gonna have to do, because we're gonna run out of time again. So Edinburgh Ospreys. So we'll talk about Edinburgh Ospreys, and then we'll go around the table and do our predictions on that. So James, you can do your pre-match rant, if you like, on Edinburgh Ospreys, and then give us a prediction, and then we'll go from there.
Not going to have a better opportunity to win. You don't win much away from home, and Edinburgh is a tough place to go. And ironically, Edinburgh away is the catalyst for what this season is. So Edinburgh away last year, we had a lot of senior players in. We had Alan Wynne, Cuthbert North, all this, and we got fucking tonked, right? They took a bonus point before half time. And Yestin, who co-presents the Irie with me and is on the Welsh pod as well, was at the game, and there was a consensus among the squad that the senior players really let the Ospreys down at that point, and that was a catalyst for a lot of them not to have contracts renewed, and were like, you're definitely gone. So in a way, that game is the one we have to thank for what we have now, which is, a core group of young players probably performing better than the sum of their parts. So we're 5 wins on the bounce, fantastic run in the league. Dan Edwards' late drop goal. We've got to go up there with the confidence that we can win and we can do this. On the injury front, we're looking hopefully to have Rhys Davis, Morgan Morrison, Owen Williams back, which again, they might not all play, but having that quality back in the squad just makes it more competitive. I can't really say much because I haven't really sat down and thought about it, other than the fact that
that's all you do, James. That's literally your life.
Other than the fact, it's hashtag Edinburgh week, right? We're looking at when we won the league at Edinburgh this week on Good Player. But no, it's just we want to continue that really good feeling in amongst the squad, because our next run of games, right, is fucking hard. We've got Leinster away, we've got to go out to South Africa as well. So if we want to pick up top 8, right, which realistically you need 10 wins with a good couple of bonus points, right? So if we want that, we have to win in Edinburgh. Then we have to beat Dragons in Cardiff, because as much as I love the fact that we won in South Africa, we're not going out and winning there, nor are we winning at Leinster away.
So what's your prediction? Come on, what's your prediction?
Scarlets by 1. No. I'm going to go Ospreys by 5.
Oh, I had you going Ospreys by 10. Okay, fair enough.
I'm not that confident.
Harley, justify your. Harley's a good boy. See, he fills in his sheet beforehand because he's just that way. He's going to bring an apple in one week and go, here you go, sir, have an apple. Go on, Harley. What's justify your selection? Your prediction.
It's nice of you not to point out that I jokingly, whilst James was going on about how amazing, this has been. I changed it to Ospreys by 1,000, but for him. So I've picked Ospreys by 2 just because Edinburgh have lost a lot of their internationals, and even when they did have them, they're not having the best of seasons. Really, they are struggling a little bit. And Ospreys are once again gaining more players than any of the other teams in the URC because they selfishly decided to cripple anyone who is actually good. So the Pride Restorers have to make up the bulk for the Wales squad. So I think with Boothie Ball, it should be an easy 5 points for the mastermind that is Toby Booth.
By the way, you are rattled. Every time you see the word pride, you can go into an incandescent rage. Because I have broken
Scat from Ice Age, and he gets that little twitch.
Yeah,
that's basically the glasses cover it really well, but that's just my eye constantly whenever you text me pride.
Oh God, Jamie, save me, man! Give me your Ospreys prediction.
I'm going Ospreys by 3. I think they'll win up there. I know we talk about Cardiff, feel good, RFC, etc., but the real feel good is at the Ospreys right now. They've won 5 on the bounce. And I think they'll go up there and win. It just seems to be clicking at the right time. Toby Booth doing a great job. Very winnable game, and I think Ospreys will edge it. So Ospreys by 3.
Cool. Okay, and I'm going to go Ospreys by 5 as well. It's just same reasons as everyone said. It's just too strong. Too many Scotland players not going to be released. Scotland are going to hold them back in just because they're in with a decent shout now. So so Ospreys by 5 up there. So next game, so that's the Friday night game, and did I say it was on? Yes, on S4C. No, BBC, isn't it? Friday night.
BBC and Viaplay.
Yeah. So then Connaught Scarlets is the 5 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. So the only real interest in this game is what happens with our defence. So change rounds in defence and what have you. Interesting place to go to test out a new defence coach. I say new defence coach, but you know what I mean. So is something. There's been a lot of positives at the Scarlets this year in attack that have just been nullified by a shit defence. And all I'm really, really looking for is, can we defend around in close? So James has just worked out how to do that.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, do 2 of them, man, and see what happens, because it's quite good. So if you do that as well, it does some stuff. So I'm going Connaught by 5 anyway. Yeah, it doesn't do it. That one is what to do that, James.
No, that's not doing anything.
Right. So Jamie, Scarlet's Connaught.
Really tough place to go, isn't it? And Scarlet's got a lot of players now with Wales, so I've gone for Connaught by 10.
Cool. Okay, we'll leave that one there. Lovely play. Thank you, James.
John McMinical to have 12 defenders beaten and 2 line breaks. Sorry, you want score predictions, right?
You're just jealous because we've got social media out, mate. Come on. Score.
My reply was so much funnier. Connacht by 17. In a really tough place to go. Ospreys found that out early on.
And it's meant to be pissing down. Well, I mean, it's pissing down constantly out there anyway. But Harley, go on, justify yours.
So Connacht by 20 because Scarlets are utter wank. Connacht have lost no one really to Island call-ups. Bundyaki barely plays, and same for Beelum, and they're going to be really fucking fuming that they only just about scraped past Cardiff. So,
does your missus listen to the pod? Because she's going to rip you to pieces with that, mate.
No, she's too busy still thinking about how nice Tommy Lewis has ass looked against Exeter.
Fair enough.
He's
Okay,
not
got
wrong,
him.
to be fair.
But we needed someone to replace Halfpenny for bringing in the ladies to the game. So, right, let's move on.
Has she seen Reece Henry?
Yes, that's funny enough why she's supporting the Scarlet. So, Cardiff Leinster. So this is the 7:30 kickoff on Saturday again on S4C. So.
So the highlights, so the good positive things here, we should be getting a decent student crowd in because we're doing student tickets. So it'll give them a nice sort of pre-drinks before going out and getting pissed and hopefully forgetting about this game. As we get beaten by the Leinster under-12s.
By how much?
I'm going by 12, which is about as optimistic as I possibly can be.
I think that's very optimistic, mate. Very optimistic. James, your Leinster or Cardiff v Leinster?
Cardiff by 1 with a Jared Evans penalty in the last minute. Oh, wait, sorry.
That was 2 years ago, mate.
No, I am going to go Cardiff by 2. The Jarry fuckers at home, and they. But I keep predicting them to win, and they keep losing. Yeah, exactly. I keep predicting them to win, and they keep losing. So long may it continue. Yeah.
Cardiff by 2. Okay, Jamie.
I got a feeling this is going to be a tight game, but they're going to go for Leinster by 2. I think they're going to make very hard work of it. Not quite as hard work as Connacht, but I do think it's going to be very, very tight. So I'll go maybe 2-3 points. Yeah, let's say Cardiff. Sorry, let's go Leinster by 3 points then.
Leinster by 3.
Leinster 3. Yeah.
Leinster by 3. Okay, mate. Cool. And that brings us. Oh, I haven't done my score. So my prediction is Leinster by 20. I think your boys are getting fucking tonked. Right. So let's move on to Dragons and Ulster. So this is also on Saturday, same time, just not televised. Am I right on that, Jay? It's 7:30.
No, it's
on Fireplay.
Yeah,
it's on Fireplay Sports, so it is televised. So yeah, it's 7:35. Yeah, it's not on free to air, but it's on Fireplay. Yeah.
Is it not on BBC Sport Northern Ireland?
No, I didn't see it on there. I just saw it on Fireplay.
Yeah, okay. That's what I said.
Okay, so Dragons are up shit street, big time. They are ravaged by injuries. As things stand, now this could change over the next coming days, but as things stand, Dragons have just 2 fit back rowers. Sean Lonsdale, Dan Lydiard. That's all they've got. So if I'm Di Flanagan, I'm getting on the phone to Warren Gatland and asking him very nicely, can we have Tame Basham back? Because we're fucked now.
You must be desperate.
Well, we are, obviously. And I do like Tame, and he does need him.
Owen Conker, isn't there, from the under-20s who plays for Ebbw Vale?
Yes, but I don't think he's going to go in straight away. I just think they're looking to bring him in for next season because his coach did say he's not ready for pro rugby at this stage. He needs another year or 2. But if things are that desperate, maybe the Dragons will fast track him. But yeah, we got like 2 fit back rowers. We had 21 injuries going into the Glasgow game. We had the likes of Jared Rosser go off. We had George Young go off. We had Kai Evans go off as well. Yeah, so we're in big trouble with injuries. And then when you take everything else into account, low on confidence, passive defence, Ulster, to use a football term, it's the new manager bounce. So obviously they haven't got Dan McFarlane now, have they? So they're going to target this game because they've got South Africa after our game. So they are going to want 5 points at home. And I just think it's going to be another hammering for the Dragons, I'm afraid.
They haven't got a new manager yet, though, have they? Because Richie Murphy's not coming in until the end of the 26 Nations.
They've got the assistant coach, Dan Soper, so he's taken charge. Richie Murphy will come in after the under-20s, but they have got Dan Soper as... well, he'll be leading the team until Richie Murphy comes in.
I'd write Dragons off, but I wouldn't write them off that much. Ulster were fucking woeful on the weekend. Like, actually, genuinely woeful. Like,
did you watch the Dragons in Glasgow? You want to talk about woeful? Have you watched the Dragons lately? Have you seen our defence?
This is why this game isn't on free-to-air TV, boys.
This is going to be a movable object versus a stoppable force.
Well, the defence is really worry. It is a big concern, the defence, because, I mean, they can't even do the basics, can they? You saw that tap and go that they fucked up. So they're in big trouble, Dragons. So I've gone for Ulster by 33 points.
Ulster by 33.
Yeah.
Okay. James, you're slagging off of Ulster because Ospreys beat them last week, and anything that Dragons get is because you softened them up last week.
Ulster by 13.
Ulster by 13.
That's kind.
Yeah, mate, they're fucking woeful. I told you, you're just a lot more woeful.
But they're playing the Dragons. You don't understand, do you? You don't understand. You haven't watched the Dragons much. You can't have.
Jamie's got his mojo back, boys.
The one time I watched the fucking Dragons, you beat us.
Jamie's aggressive pessimism is back. It disappeared for the start of the season, and it's back with.
We got no players. We're fucking screwed. We got like 20 odd players.
Stop signing injury-prone old men.
From the Scarlets.
Admittedly, he's one of your few good fit players.
Lydiard is fit actually. So if you talk about old men, Lydiard is fit for this game. Yeah.
Harley, your prediction?
Well, I'm feeling really kind now, hearing Jamie's prediction, seeing what you've put on the sheet. So I've gone for Ulster by 15, purely because Ulster will beat themselves mostly, because they somehow managed to fuck up doing a rolling maul, even though that was literally their only attacking platform, only thing they could get to work and attack. You know, their scrum's probably going to be a lot better against Dragons. So you know, because I don't think. I don't think Rodri Jones on his own is going to be able to hold it up. I don't think it's going to be pretty in terms of score all the game.
So I think it's going to be an ugly game as well, but I think it'll result in a lot of tries. I think you'll come away with like bonus points by half time, and everyone will be going, this is just like an insane game where everybody just kind of, nobody bothers with defence. Let's put it that way. So, but I'm coming
with all season.
Yeah, Ulster by 20 is my prediction on that one. So, okie dokie, we are very nearly done, gentlemen. Very nearly done on the happy bits. So, I've got one last bit that I just want to cover off before we finish for the evening. So, I put some stuff out to you guys earlier in the week about doing some charity stuff for Christmas. I think we're at that level now. I think people are looking at us and people are nicking our social media output. They're nicking what we say and all that kind of stuff. There'll be offers coming in for you guys left, right, and centre, and transfers. Come and do our pod and all that kind of stuff. So I thought we're at that level now where we could maybe do some charity stuff round about Christmas. This is next season, yes. But I just wanted to get a little bit of a feel up from our listeners. So we'll put some social media posts out on what do we do for a charity thing. Nobody's allowed to do anything naked before Carwyn suggests that, because I know that's his go-to. That's in the back pocket and that's coming out. So nothing naked or nearly naked.
Never again.
I mean, I'm still recovering from the under-15s tour, so yeah, but let's get some ideas, because we've got some good ideas, but I want to hear what people want to say as well. And so my one is, do we do an auction, and would people be interested? If we can get stuff out of the regions, I don't know, a fancy day, tour of the stadium, watch a game from the director's box, that sort of thing. Would people pay for that and all that kind of stuff? But let us know, because I do want to do something. I do want to give a little bit back to some people of probably deserve it more than we do. So that's my thing. Just putting some feelers out there now, and we'll see where that goes between now and the end of this season, and then that gives us a summer to get it in place, and then we'll do some stuff at the start of next season. Okay. So with that in mind, that is us done for the evening, gents. Been very good boys this evening. That's hour and a half. You've done well. You should give yourselves a pat on the back. Congratulations.
Lee, I have a question very quickly.
Oh fuck! I said
how much do you scoff when you see the size of the Ospreys podcast file every week? Because routinely, I think the last 2 weeks we were an hour and 45 last week and 2 hours the week before. Do you just hate us?
No, I just don't listen, mate. I do the first bit and then I do the last bit and then I go, yeah, okay. I feel sorry for you boys. I feel sorry for Martin because he loves you boys, and Martin will do absolutely anything that you boys ask him to. And you go, mind you, he's a long distance lorry driver, isn't he? So he's got like 6 hours in between stops. So he probably listens to you 3 times.
What a disgrace of a podcast we have.
I can't believe you forced us to finish recording early.
I know. So let those boys go. Fucking hell, man. Anyway, gents, thank you for your time this evening. I hope you all enjoy your rugby this weekend. So, just to keep Jamie happy. Jamie loves this bit. Yeah, so we're available on. Where are we available on, Jane? Do that bit for me, man. Where can we get hold of the pod?
We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on the Sports Social Network. We're on Castbox. We're on Pocket Casts and all the other good platforms that you know of.
There you go. See, that's why Jamie should be doing this. Right, I shall see you next week, gents. All the very best. Have a good one. Enjoy your rugby.
Have a good one.
Ta-ra.
That's that.